what I want you to do, guys, we are whipping through this book. We're on page 3. So, what we got, like 75, 80, but trust me, we are going to get through the book on it. But you get to page 3 on here. I want you to look, and this is something I want you guys to pay attention to. It says right in the middle there, it says, and I have this starred, it says a reasonably prudent real estate broker would possess the knowledge and competence to represent a principal in a real estate transaction by, and it goes through 3 different bullet points. Fine, you want to go through, you can see it says provide reliable information. I want you to, guys, look at that first bullet point, and it says in the middle there, in the middle of that first bullet point, it says a broker should conduct research regarding matters that affect buyers and sellers in the real estate industry so they can provide valuable information to the principal. Research on that. What do you consider research? Well, like some of the things automatically you should be doing is panning up and getting a Google view, for instance, on the property you're looking at. Because if you're not familiar with a particular area, and not everyone's going to be familiar with every street in the area that they're looking at, but pan up and say, oh my gosh, there is a rock quarry a half a mile away. There's a great area of subdivision. We were just talking subdivisions up here in North Raleigh on it. People were going out into their homes. They're buying these great homes, $500, $600, $700, $800 million homes. And then all of a sudden they step out onto their porch and they hear a big boom. They hear a boom and it ends up being the rock quarry blasting. They're like, I had no idea I was living next to a rock quarry. And neither did the agent know that they were living next to a rock quarry. That's a problem. That's a problem. Just think about a complaint that gets raised up and says, the real estate commission, nobody told me about the big boom coming from the rock quarry. That's something that you got to consider out there. So it talks about research, knowing about the railroads, know about what roads. When you guys are driving by and you see work crews with orange cones moving telephone poles back 20 feet, you might want to ask before you enter that subdivision, hey, what's happening with the road out there? That's the research that we're talking about going on here. The next thing is the bullet point right below that. And this is the thing that I want you to really pay attention to on it, because it says providing competent information on a probable selling price. Probable selling price. Probable selling price is a CMA. Now I know we have represented in here guys from all over the state, and so you all have different MLSs. So from the MLS where you go and try and figure out how you're going to do your CMA, and there's some great CMA programs with the different MLSs out there. The Raleigh Regional Association of Realtors has a great CMA program within that, and then they also have RPR, which is what our company uses here. We require our agents to use RPR, which is also tied to the National Association of Realtors. Whatever, you have a program. Going back to what I was saying earlier on about agents needing to slow down. The reason why I'm saying this is you want to go and you want to write up an offer on a house. I was talking about North Hills in our area. Wherever you live, figure out whatever a hot spot is that someone's where people are selling homes on. Where I'm talking about North Hills is a home could go on the market today at 10 o'clock. A sign go out in the yard, and by 5 o'clock you got 6 offers on the house, and the agent says all offers need to be in by 5 o'clock today. That's how hot this particular area is. All right, even today with Corona out there, and add in the fact that you got 2.5%, 3% interest rates going. So now you got multiple offers coming in. You're in the classroom, you're taking this class. You get the text from your client like, I won't buy that house. I need to go buy in the house because I've lost 6 other homes that I wanted to buy in that neighborhood because we haven't been on top of it. So you're like, woo, I want to do it. But you know what? I'm sitting in on this class that I got to be out until 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So you got 2 options. One is you can just skip out on the class and then take it another day. Second thing is you go ahead and finish up the class. You go and say, okay, well, I can get you into a showing at 2 o'clock. You go in at 2 o'clock, you go in and show the house, and then you walk through and they're like, whoo, I want to write up this offer. You get out of there at 3:30, you get back to your office, you get back to your home office now, and you say, I got to write up this offer, I got to do a CMA. Well, ain't nobody got time for doing a full-blown CMA. What am I talking about full-blown? A CMA has got to be one that is, you've taken all the area properties on there and you've made adjustments. It is not what we call in the Raleigh area a summary CMA. A summary CMA, which is one where you sit there, everyone's got a variation of this. What I'm talking about is I can do a summary CMA in about 10 minutes. Hey, 10 minutes, yeah. What? I'm in the middle of something.
Can I just go the lazy route and go to RPR and just bust one out in about 5 minutes? 20 pages.
Thanks for injecting that. That was helpful. Tim, no, you can't. So let me get back to my summary CMA. So you got a summary CMA. I go into the subdivision, or I go into pulling up listings. And I go in, I key in, you all know what I'm talking about. You go in, you key in the subdivision in there, and then you just go back 6 months to previous sales. You go, I want to see closed, pendings, and actives. Why do you want pendings and actives? Because you want to check out what the trends are. That's all cool on it. And then you just do a search. And then you go and it prints out, you go and you click down the different types of CMAs. You see summary CMA, and then you see something like you got all these different homes on there, and then they come out with a square foot price. You know what I mean? Dollars per square foot. Oh, $172.12, $168. And then you have an average on it, you have a mean, you have a low, and you have a high. Right? This is what I'm talking about on here. And then you just like, okay, it's $168 square foot. Multiply that by the square footage of the house. Boom! That's what I need to sell that house or buy that house for. That would be a problem when it comes to the real estate commission, because you didn't take into account, does that house have granite? Does the neighborhood have granite? Does the neighborhood have 3 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, whatever? You don't make the adjustments for it. You go in for that house on it, and then they lose it. Why? Because you went with something like this. And then they get ticked off, and they send a complaint over to the real estate commission. They say, hey, hi. Real estate commission says, why did you go this route? Because you all know that you're required by the state of North Carolina to keep a CMA in your file. You have to be able to show it. Not a CMA after the case. You have to have a CMA prior. So you know how it's all dated, RPR, Tim, like this, right? Your summary CMAs, all that has a date down at the bottom on here. That date has got to show you pull that information in order to give that information of what they should be offering, how they should be offering it. Here's where I think the price ought to be. And then your experience then is, oh, okay, I think we ought to start here, or I need to start right at it, or we need to add more due diligence, whatever that would be. That's how we have to do a CMA on it. And I want to point out in this is one of the words that I want you to look at. It says, to complete a CMA, this is in that second bullet point, it says to complete a CMA for their principal. A broker should never try to estimate the probable selling price of the property without completing a thorough analysis and researching the subject property. That is one of those definitive terms where it says never. They don't want you just whipping off, off the top of your head, pulling it out and saying, this is where I think you ought to have the price. You need to have concrete reasons for the area, the price range that you think you need to be coming out at. Tim was referencing something when we were talking about competence and care and skill and care and due diligence on it. And what he was referring to is, so my son, my wife and our son, our oldest son, is an Army Ranger he's an officer down at Fort Bragg. So 50 minutes away from here. And we know the Fayetteville area somewhat. I mean, we go there, we visit him often. He's got my first grandchild. Many of you probably have seen the emails, so I've got my first grandchild out down there, and they're looking for a house. They're now looking they want to go buy. It's a great one to buy on it. Cool. Well, so the question is, do we represent my son? This is what Tim was referencing about, because this just happened over the weekend. Do we go and start selling them the house, even though we don't have access to the homes? I mean, we can get it. We can call up the agents and get access to the house. But should we do it? That was the question I think that Tim's trying to bring to us, and the answer is no. And so what did we do? My wife ended up searching out for a broker down in the Fayetteville area, hooked up that broker with my son, and now they're under an agency agreement out looking for houses today. And that goes back to whether you can. I mean, certainly we could go ahead and sell my son his house, but the decision was obviously for us was no, we shouldn't. We don't know enough to actually represent them well. So thanks, Tim, for bringing that up. All right, so we're on CMAs on that. Just go on to page 4. Third bullet point down there, it talks about a broker should be proficient in understanding the terms, clauses, and language in contract forms to adequately assist the buyers. So you should know about contracts. Well, Duh. You have contracts. You're taking contracts maybe, or you're getting ready to take contracts for your post-licensing on it. Let me just ask you, I'm going to ask you a question, something that I want you to send Tim a note on. So you all know the standard offer to purchase contract, the 2T. In there, for instance, there's a finance section. You know what I'm talking about. It says, whether it's going to be a conventional loan, an FHA loan, you're going to check the box, right? You're going to check the box. And then you have something like, where you have $sign and then a blank, okay? Do me a favor, take about 10 or 15 seconds and text or chat Tim with what do you fill into that area? What are some of the things that you might throw into that blank? This is the financing thing on it. Go ahead, take about 10 seconds. Y'all are awake out there. There we go. We're starting to see some people chatting in.
Oh, now we do have a little bit of a spread on the answers on this.
Good, good. Makes it a little more exciting.
Yeah, matter of fact, I can't keep up.
Awesome.
So we've got folks that think they're going to reach out to the lender. We've got folks that want to get the loan balance. There are folks that want to know the loan amount to be financed.
What about loan to value?
Type of loans.
Yeah, so we're talking about, I think, section 5, 4, 5, I can't remember the number on it. And so, right, so you're checking off conventional loan up there. You're going to check off, write down 30 years down here. So this, by the way, is a material fact. Okay, what you're about to enter is a material fact. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Is it required? Meaning, is the financing required in order for the thing to go through? It's not a contingency, a financing contingency. But what we're doing is we're disclosing what we're getting because it makes a difference. Right, Tim? Does it make a difference if someone said conventional, if they check the box conventional versus FHA, VA?
Oh, absolutely.
Does it make a difference?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, why?
Because all the requirements for those things are different, plus it's a material fact as to what kind of turnaround time, loan to value, all those.
Yeah, right. VA is already set out there. This is one of the things they set out for the VA loans is that it's going to take a minimum of 45 days to process. Minimum of 45 because they're getting a whole bunch of refis coming in with a new interest rate. All right, well, that's a material fact too. Does it make a difference if you go with conventional and they're able to close in 3 weeks versus FH or VA that might be 45 to 60 days out now? Yeah, that makes a difference. That's why it's a material fact. Now I go back up to this part up here. This is on the dollars. Just bear with me. Has anyone seen, just check a thumbs up. Has anyone ever seen or entered something like, I heard Colleen say like 90% LTV. Has anyone done that? Just go ahead, send Tim, if you've ever seen it, just go ahead and send him a thumbs up. Just be like, hey, yeah, Steve, I've seen that.
Yeah, we're just asking for a friend.
Yeah, right.
We don't want to admit
Right. The commission is not going to see your answer.
Stephen, I've seen some situations where there's a momentary situational tension. If you're a friend, like if you're listing a house for a friend, and you got to ask your friend their loan information, you want to see the mortgage statement, it's almost like you prefer to have someone who's a stranger that you just met and got a referral to, as opposed to somebody that you know well and you're like, hey man, I need your mortgage information.
True. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's one of the things with friends, with our friends, because we do a lot. Most of our business is by referral now. Fortunately, on it, we've gotten to that point. But with it, we say, hey, look, we're going to take care of everything for you. My wife and I say we're going to take care of everything for you, but get the money. You take care of getting the money. Okay. But I still got to know how you're going to get the money. So I got to be able to either talk to your lender, or you got to send me something, because I got to fill in all these check boxes, right? One of them is going to be the dollar thing. Now, Tim, did anyone say, do we have some people, some thumbs up that they've seen something like that? Did we?
A couple folks, yeah, but most folks happily said no. I really haven't.
Okay, well, good if you haven't, because if you put 90% LTV, you're wrong. It's just that simple. In fact, what's even more, because what is it 90% LTV? Okay, we know in the industry 90% LTV means 90% loan to value. 90% loan to value. But guess what? Are you at all part of this contract? Tim, is there any agent listed anywhere on that contract other than the last page notice section? No. No. This is for the consumer up here. In fact, the commission has actually made it so simple that they've actually put in there the dollar sign. They've actually wrote in a dollar sign with a blank line. So they don't want you putting 90% LTV. Guess what? They actually want you to put in there $695 or whatever dollar. That's what you have to write in there. Well, Steve, this thing's getting negotiated out left and right. I don't have time. I mean, we're bouncing back and forth. I'm on calls, man. I'm texting. I don't got time to be writing $695, and then I got to go write $694, and then $694.5. Ain't nobody got time for that. Slow down, because that is exactly what you got to do. There's no shortcutting it on this. There's no making up stuff. There's no industry standard. Oh, everybody on the side of the other agent knows about what I'm talking about. No. This is what they have made it so that you fill in the blank. Cool. All right. Enough on that particular thing. There we go with the glasses. Let's keep moving on. Determining competence. We're on page 7. Woo! We're smoking. We're on page 7. Numbers 1, 2, and 3. I want to point you out to you. Number 2. It says the company has special policies regarding newly affiliated brokers, like requiring brokers to partner with more experienced brokers for a period of time before engaging in a transaction independently. This is one of the things that the commission wants to look at and it's all based off of a complaint, right? It's one of the sayings I have is it's never a problem until it's a problem. Until it's a problem on it. And so you could be cruising along, and the other thing I say is people run red lights every day. You're going to say, Steve, I see plenty of people putting that LTV on there. Get it? We all get it. You're not supposed to be doing it. It's only a matter of time. And so when we're looking on here on the special policies, this is something that is more for the bigs, but making sure, right, because when you come right out of the hopper, when you get that real estate license, by the way, guys, just a little fact thing, we're one of the toughest states. Tim, you know this. We're one of the toughest states to get a real estate license on. Guys, they ask more of you here in North Carolina than just about any other state. And we've got people coming in from Virginia and Florida and Texas and Washington, Michigan, New York, coming in taking our classes and stuff like this. And they're all like, what? All the stuff that you have to do. I get it. You do a whole bunch of stuff. And that's the reason why this competency thing is so important on it. Because you're treated just like any other business. Even though you're an independent contractor, actually because you're an independent contractor, you're treated like any other business in the state of North Carolina. Right? You might be working under firm A, firm B, firm C, but at the end of the day, it's your job to do everything the right way. And when it comes here, when you just come out of real estate school, is there anyone in here that wants to say, when I came right out of real estate school, I knew exactly what I needed to do to get that transaction done? Now, I'm not saying you didn't get it done. The question is, would it have been better had you partnered with someone to at least walk you through it? And you might have also gotten partnered. There's a lot of firms that give you training and stuff to help work you through it. That's all cool. That's what they're saying here, number 2, is just make sure that you've got someone, especially in your first couple transactions and stuff. And we got people who might have, the last time they sold a house was a year and a half ago. Well, things have changed a whole lot in 18 months. You need to, at least in our firm, you've got to then get hooked up back with our transaction coordinator and start moving down the process and learning all the things that have changed. I mean, shoot, guys, we just had a new form that came out from the association in North Carolina that said, you guys should already know about the coronavirus addendum or whatever that's going to be on that. You got to know about those kinds of things, whether your company is going to employ those. Move on to page 9, guys. 9 in the first part on there. Up on the first section it says, this is page 9, it says, it is important to remember the inexperienced broker will be held to the same standard as a broker who practices residential regularly in the industry. I highlight that because I know that there are firms out there that have mentoring programs, which are cool. You got mentoring programs. The question is, if you're using that mentoring program or you're going to be partnered up with someone or follow them through, is making sure that whoever you're partnered with is actually experienced in what they're about to show you. That's what the commission is having right here, because at the end of the day, even though they have a mentor in here, you're going to be held responsible. If that complaint comes over to the real estate commission, the commission is going to, they don't care that you went to the mentor. It might have been nice and everything like that, but what they're going to care about is the fact that, hey, you messed up. Why did you mess up? Well, I messed up because that mentor told me I should have done it this way. They should have said, don't matter how many bedrooms that septic's for, just put in whatever you think it's supposed to be for. You got a 4-bedroom, put in a 4-bedroom. So you write in 4-bedroom. Well, you know what? You're going to real estate jail, cuffing it up. So let's move on to where we going. I'm sorry if my slides aren't keeping up. Property mismanagement. Okay, so I want you to take, we got, let's see, I got, what do we got, Tim? 21 after, is that correct? 22 after? I want you to go to page 12. This is the reading portion, y'all. It's more than 240 characters, 280 characters on here. I need you to read. I want you to go ahead and look at real quick. Property mismanagement. Take 2 minutes to go and read this example about property mismanagement. Okay, all right. Let's get to this property mismanagement on it. Now, first thing, can you believe that this is an actual case? This is an actual case on here. So what do we got? Starts off, it says the complaining witness 6 disgruntled landlords. Well, look, first of all, if you're in property management, and I know some of you out there are in property management. Some of you might even consider getting into property management. And here's the thing: in property management, to make the money, it's on volume. You know, you're not making a whole lot off of 5 to 10% off of each rental dollar that's coming in on a monthly basis on here. So the other thing, when we say 6 disgruntled landlords, it is going to get the commission's attention when the same firm has several clients calling in saying, hey, here's a problem, we have a problem with this property manager. I want you to look at the complaint on this, the respondent. It says the respondent is the QB BIC, property manager, and of her firm. Another fact, 70% of all firms in North Carolina are mom and pop shops. 70% have 3 or less people in them. Okay? Which means what? If you're in a firm on it, and some of you probably already remember this too. So in order to start a firm, you have to have a QB. QB stands for what? Anybody?
Qualifying broker.
Qualifying broker. Qualifying broker, which means you have an active license as well as ownership in the company. Okay, so the QB. Is the QB the same thing as a broker in charge? Bueller?
No.
Bueller? What was that?
I'm going with no.
You're going with no. So the BIC, the QB and the BIC can be the same. So if you take a mom and pop shop, you got the QB is going to name themselves the BIC. You take a big firm, you got the QB, one of the QB, and you can have several QBs on it. You got the QB is going to name a different BIC. Fine. We're talking about here, we've got the respondent here as a QB and the BIC of the firm. All right, so you got a small company, probably a one-man show, maybe even in this particular case here. So what does she do? What is her job? Tim, page 12. What is her job? What does she do for full-time business? Do you remember? Full-time job is a librarian. That's right, a librarian.
She's probably got a lot of time.
She's doing the Dewey Decimal System, card catalog, and all that kind of stuff.
A lot of free time.
So I don't know if we want to slam our librarians, but
I'll be totally sarcastic.
all right, yeah. So she's quite busy.
She tour all the properties.
So she's got 46 units, y'all. Now I want you just to pause for just a second. She's got a full-time job, probably let's say 9 to 5, 8 to 5, 8 to 6, whatever it is, and then she's got to go and manage 46 units on it. You can already see where this is going to become a problem.
Steve, I have 1 unit, and I have trouble with managing that.
Yeah, for other reasons.
Yeah,
but yes, but that's part of the point here. She's got 46 units on it. Real Estate Commission doesn't say what kind of forms you need to use. They also don't tell you what you have to do in those particular forms. But if you say it in your agreements with the landlords, or the owners of the property, if you say in that property management agreement, I'm going to inspect the property X days. I'm going to go and do B. I'm going to go do Z. The commission then says, then you just got to go do that. You have to do whatever you agreed to do. In this particular case, she was supposed to do it, and she didn't do it. She didn't do it. What else didn't she do? I mean, even when she was, well, look, there's several other things. I can't even fathom how this was all going down. When she had one of the tenants, I guess a friend of hers, says, "Hey, look, I'm a little shy on some money today," which, look, you can do it today. We've got a lot of people. We got unemployment in North Carolina, 170,000 new unemployment claims in the last 10 days. And we got rent getting ready to get due on the 1st. So here she gets a friend of her renting a place, and all of a sudden she says, "Hey, I'm a little shy on some cash." And then what does the property manager do? What's QB, the BIC, do? QB, the BIC says, "Hey, no problem. I got this whole pile of cash sitting in this thing we call a trust account. I'll go ahead and float it. No one will pay me back when you get a chance." All right, you see how that's going to blow up on that particular thing. And then she's even got people going into evictions, right? She's going to go evict someone who what does she send, the handyman to go like?
That's a great handyman if you can find a guy.
Yeah, right. Actually, a handyman, right. I'm a carpenter and an evictor. So, all right, so this is just going through, just to kind of tie up on page 15 what's happened. So this person got suspended for 12 months on it, and prohibited from being a BIC for 5 years. Well, if you're the QB, the BIC, and it's your firm, that's virtually putting you out of business, which is basically what happened. The firm ended up surrendering its license. It just goes south that quickly. That fast. I mean, you can probably, she wanted to get a little, I'm making it up, but you can figure out how this goes all in the competency thing. You can see how she probably was trying to get through the process. She's like, "Oh, I'm going to make some extra cash as a librarian," and then all of a sudden, and it just starts snowballing. She got herself caught. All right, real quick, I want to go on to, just on page 16, just talks about vacation rental property. Hey guys, especially in today's time, I just got, we had a beach house that we were going to go in for Easter. We're going to go down for 10 days. Got the notice, we're going to go to Sunset Beach. Sunset Beach closed. So the mayors, the city council said, we're not going to let anyone onto the beach over 90 days. So either you guys stay 90 days or longer, 91 days, in which they'll let you stay. But if it's under 90 days, you can't come onto the beach. And so now, so what happens? They got to refund the money. The commission actually came out and said it doesn't matter whether they bought that insurance or whatever on it. Commission said you're liable, property managers and owners, you're liable for lawsuits if you don't go ahead and refund the money. So we get our money refunded. Why the 91 days? Well, look at this. Vacation rental vacation rental is considered 90 days or less, meaning they got a permanent home somewhere else. So you kind of see how it all ties in there. And it goes through and talks about some more stuff as far as vacation rental property. I'm not going to go too much into it on this. Just on page 18, just an alert I want to bring to your attention, just talks about software, making sure that you got the current software needed to adhere to the real rules. And let me see if there's anything else I want to talk about. We're all experiencing it together. Things are changing. I mean, just this alone is changing our industry on it. And you are it's a valuable industry, but you got to make sure that you stay relevant and valuable to it. You don't want to become a detriment. And becoming a detriment means that you just don't know what you don't know. And you start saying things, and that's one of the things. We're very personable people. We want to go out there and talk, chat. It's all cool. But sometimes we say things where we should have just been buttoning it up and just been like, you know what, I don't know, let me go find that out. Slowing down.
One of the things you said to us as home coach agents that really stuck with me was ultimately what you can't be in real estate if you want to really have success is lazy. And that's what gets a lot of agents is they just get a little lazy and then they cut these corners. And the consumer loses. And ultimately the agent loses.
Yep.
So.
Thanks, Tim. Thanks. All right, let's move on. We're going on to material facts, guys. We're starting off with a couple of examples on here. So I want you to go up there. This is our third year teaching this, guys, and we got Tom. Tom Hanks. Hey, Tom survived. Tom and his wife survived Corona. All right, Tom. Let's look at what Tom wants to do. So Tom's a seller, and he's decided to list his property on here. Tom's noticed that the water heater has begun to leak, and he's completed the RPO, the Residential Property Disclosure, and the MOG. And it says on the residential, he checks off no representation. On the question, is there any problems or malfunctions or defects with the dwellings on it? And the question is, the first question that I want you guys to quickly take 10 seconds and wake up, send Tim a little thing that says, must Tom the owner, disclose the leaking water heater to potential buyers? Yes or no? Must Tom disclose the leaking water heater to potential buyers? All right, Tom, Tim, what do we got? Yeses and nos? More yeses, more nos?
We got a little of both. Mostly no's, though.
Mostly no's? Right, so the answer would be no, Tom doesn't. He's the owner of the property. Remember in North Carolina, we're a caveat emptor state. Caveat emptor means buyer beware on it. Now, Tom can't lie, so he can't check like there's no problem on it. But as long as he checks no representation, then he's just saying, I'm not telling. Right? Tim, all good on that, right? All right, so then the next question on there is he complying with the Residential Property Disclosure Act? And the answer is going to be yes. The third question in your book, though, guys, just puts a little extra nuance on it, is what if Tim was a real estate licensee? So what if now he's a seller, but he's got his real estate license? Now, question is, send it to Tim, yes or no? Does Tom, the owner with a real estate license, must he disclose that material fact of the leak? Go ahead, take 10 seconds.
It's a home run, yes, all the way.
Everyone's going, perfect, thank you guys. We don't even need to go 10 seconds, we got 2 seconds. Everyone anticipated it, perfect. Awesome guys, good job. All right, let's go on to Bill. Look at old Bill. Well, you guys can tell, you know how old I am now. We got Bill on there. He's inspecting a house during a listing presentation. He notices that there's several stains in the cabinet under the sink. Bill asks the owner, now Bill's a broker, guys. He asks the owner on this, hey, what's up with the sink? And the owner's like, yeah, that thing's leaked on a few times here. He says, but I've had it repaired a few times too. So all good, all good. So Bill the broker lists the property on it. On the property disclosure statement, the seller, again, check no representation on it. Bill does not include anything about the leak in the listing information. So now we got Jeff. Jeff's another broker. He's coming in. He's a buyer's agent on this. While viewing the house, the buyer agent notices the stain. So he opens up the cabinet, looks and sees the stains, and he shuts the door. What? The buyer's agent does not point out the stain to his potential buyer, nor does he ask Bill about it. So the question here is, guys, would this be an example of misrepresentation or omission? What do you guys think? Send Tim a message real quick. Misrepresentation or omission? Miss or omission? What do you think? Tim, what do we got? Do we have a consensus?
We got a little mix.
We got a mix. All right, remember, guys, so misrepresentation is lying. Omission is not telling. So in this particular case, it says, would this be an example of lying to someone or omitting and not telling someone? The answer is going to be not telling someone. So it's going to be omission. Omission on it. The next question, it says, which broker is at fault? All right, guys, you got 3 answers, potential answers on this. Bill, the listing agent, Jeff, the buyer's agent, or both. Listing, buyer, or both. What do we got, Tim?
Yeah, it's both.
Everyone's got both.
Everybody's got this.
Everyone's got this now. All right, that's good. Perfect. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much for participating on that. So the next question then says on that, what are the responsibilities of each agent on here? And so So let's get into discovery and disclosure. So both agents are responsible for discovering and disclosing material facts. Now the Commission has said that the listing agent bears more of the initial responsibility as far as disclosing, meaning you got to be able to put that information out there and tell everyone the material facts. But it doesn't relieve the agent, the buyer's agent, of not also discovering and disclosing the material facts as well. So let me give you an example. One of the things the Commission expects of you is to be able to visually know about square footage of a house. So if you come up, you go into MLS and you find a house that's at 3,400 square feet. It says 3,400. You show up onto it, and as you show up to the house, it looks like a 2-bedroom ranch, right? 1,400 square feet at best. You're supposed to have the knowledge and the skills to be able to assess that and say, this doesn't look like 3,400 square feet. Now, you're not supposed to know the exact amount, but you know it's not looking like 3,400 square feet. So the first thing, what's the first thing you should probably do? First thing you probably should do, hey, just call up the listing agent. Call up the listing agent and say, hi, I'm at your 2-bedroom ranch. Notice it doesn't look like 3,400 square feet. What's up? And it might be legit. It might be, look, I've had I've done it where you're going in, you're throwing in a couple listings tonight, you're in there and you mistype something, right? Instead of 1,400, you put 3,400. Cool. Agent gets it, just makes the change in the MLS. All done. But what if the listing agent is standing by it? 3,400 square feet. I pulled it up from the tax records. 3,400 square feet. Now, you know it ain't 3,400. You know you're not supposed to be pulling it up from the tax records. So now what do? What is the requirement? Tim, any ideas? What's the requirement of that buyer's agent now? Even though the listing agent wants to stick by the 3,400.
That's a good question. I would be checking with my BIC on that before I probably took.
Well, and lucky you got your BIC in the room.
Yeah.
You got your BIC in the room. So the responsibility is going to be on that buyer's agent to get that house measured. If the client wants to put an offer on that house, the buyer's agent is going to have to either measure the house themselves, or what a lot of people are doing today is go ahead and pay someone to go ahead and measure the house. You know, same thing goes for new construction, right? Several years ago, we came out and we mentioned about how new home sales, right? New home sales listing agents. You got a house that's coming out of the ground, so new construction, you got dirt. House is coming out, you know how they go and they put in there the sketches on it, the drawings or whatever, and it says, 4,000 square feet. And then it comes out of the ground. Remember, the requirement is on the listing agent that is to then measure that house after it has been built, right? Because can it change from the original 4,000 that they put the blueprints in for? And the answer is yeah, right? Originally, maybe it didn't have it had an unfinished bonus. Now they bought the house and they've got a bonus on it, or they had a screen and porch, they wanted a bump out of a kitchen, whatever it is. The listing agent needs to measure it. Well, what if the listing agent doesn't and says, "Oh, I ain't going to do none of that. Ain't nobody got time for that." Well, then it's going to be on the buyer's agent. Why? Why is it going to be on the buyer's agent to measure that? Because it's important. It's important to you for their client to know the square footage. Square footage, just while we're sticking on square footage, does the Real Estate Commission, I'm going to ask you all a question, I want you to send it to Tim. Does the Real Estate Commission require you to measure a house? Go.
It's a mixed bag again. It's a good topic.
So what do you think? So what do we got? More yeses, more nos? Even?
It trends back and forth, to be honest.
Okay, so the answer is no. The Real Estate Commission does not require you to measure a house. Now, I'm going to take the Raleigh area only because I know the Raleigh area. I don't know all the various MLSs and their different rules. When it comes to the Raleigh area, though, the Commission doesn't require. The Commission says there's two types of agents, either full service or, what's the other one? Limited service. Limited service. What's limited service? Not full. That's all it is, not full.
They're just getting it at MLS, really.
It's limited, so it's whatever. Full service is everything. Limited service, you got to actually say, I'm not doing these things, or I'm only going to do these things. You actually have to spell them out. Otherwise, the commission says if you're not a limited service, they assume everyone is going to be full service. Now, full service, this goes to common law and all these other kinds of things. Full service in our area, also in your area, wherever you are, is also determined by what does your community expect. In the Raleigh area, I can tell you that everyone expects square footage. And in fact, you're going to get, dollars per square foot. That's what, and you got people going on Zillow. Zillow's got, look, I think my house is worth $172 a square foot because, I got the brass doorknobs. I put the brass on my kitchen sink. I got brass everywhere, Steve. That's why I got to be at $172, right? And so, yes, so in Raleigh, we got to go and measure the house because both buyers and sellers are expecting that. That's their expectation. That's what full service is going to do. Okay, so that's where are my glasses? There we go. Enough on just that. Let's move on. Woo, we are just flying, aren't we, guys? 29. I want to go on. Material facts is broken up into 4 different sections, guys, because there is no one. You can't have a scenario for everything that might be a material fact. Okay, so we break it up into 4 areas of what you should think about. The first area, guys, is going to be what are the things that, where are we going here? About the property itself, okay? These are things like structural defects of the property. You walk around the house, what does the real estate commission require you to do when you're going to list a house or buy a house? The very first thing you got to do. The very first thing as a buyer's agent, let's take a buyer's agent, as someone who wants to buy the house, they're like, I want to buy this house. You need to walk around the exterior of that property. You need to walk around the interior of the property, shine a flashlight in the attic and in the crawl space. Okay? You don't need to get your overalls on and coveralls and go into the crawl space on, but you got to shine a light in there. You got to familiarize yourself with the property. You got to be able to look and shine that light up and be like, hi. What's up with the stains in that ceiling? You got to find that stuff up. The cracks that are around on the outside and the foundation walls. That talks about, those are things about the property. The next item on there is going to be what relates to the property. All right. Those are the things like I was talking about earlier, the railroad, the new building, commercial development that's coming into the area. Those are things that we're talking about as far as relating directly to it. The next is going to be affecting the principal's ability to complete the transaction. Now I want to pause here for just a sec because I want to talk about this. Affecting the principal's ability. So we got 2 principals, right? You got a buyer and a seller. What's the seller's, how do we find out the seller's ability to perform on the transaction? The seller's. One of the things that we got to do as a listing agent is we've got to have eyes on the balance, their loan balance. We got to find out how much their loan balance is. All right. And so like for our company, you got to get a copy of it. Not one that was 90 days. You don't ask the person, hey, how much you owe? I don't know, Steve, I think I owe about $120 on it. No, you got to actually put eyes on it. You got to find out how much they owe because that's a material fact. You're going to have to know whether they can afford to close on this property or not at the price that you're trying to sell it on. You're going to have to come to the table. All right, so that's the first material fact. What about as a buyer? What about as a buyer? What do you have to do as far as making sure that they have the ability to complete their transaction? What do you think, Tim?
Well, you got to verify that they're actually looking at property that they can likely afford, and not just showing property that's way beyond what they're complete transaction.
Right. It can't, and it's not just a pre-qual. Pre-qual are the days of yesterday. Pre-qual. What's a pre-qual? Hey, lender, I make 100 G, and I don't owe anybody any money. Okay, that's useless information, guys, right? So the pre-approval, the assumption is when you come into a house, a $400,000 house, the assumption for the seller is you can afford that. That's actually what you're kind of disclosing as a buyer's agent to the listing side as a material fact. My buyer, who I got in my car, can go ahead and afford that particular property. Yeah.
So is that something that, Steve, is actually a local MLS requirement, or is that something that...
That's state. This is a state. Commission, it's a material fact. It's a material fact of whether they can perform. And it doesn't stop just with a letter. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all know when you're going to tell them. You're going to say, hey, look, don't buy nothing. Don't get no furniture. Don't go buy. Just stop. Just stay where you are. Hold tight. And then what happens? Like a week before, they're like, oh, Steve, look at this. I just got my new BMW. Woo! And then you're like, oh, crap. And then you go and you find out with the lender. The lender's like, yep, they're no longer going conventional. We got to go get them FHA. Is that a material fact? Yep, that's a material fact. You got to disclose that to all parties involved. Fourth one, we're going to get more into this in a sec after the break. The fourth one is, it says facts that are known to be of special importance to each party. That means what's special importance to the buyer or the seller. A couple of things. Let's just take the buyer, for instance. What might be important? Well, the buyer's got a plumbing business, and they've got 3 trucks that they need to park at the house. We got to check with the HOA, find out if they're going to allow that. They want to have an in-house daycare. They want to have a 6-foot privacy fence. Those kinds of things that they say that they're important to them. That's what we're going to need to check out. All right, guys, take a break. We'll see you in 10 minutes. Thank you all very much.